Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the C-List Villains, your cultivators of the comic culture. I'm AJ. We've got Eman, Luke, Red, and we've got a special guest in the building, Mr. JonBoy Myers himself. Hello, everyone.
Hey, it is good to be back. 2.5 years, right? Or 2 years, something like that.
Just about, man. It's been a minute.
Luke had long hair last time I was on, I think. That's right.
I did, yeah.
You did. Looks good though, buddy. Looks good.
You just did that too recently, didn't you, Luke? Like not too long ago. Huh?
Yeah, a few weeks ago. Shaved it all off.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
that's
cool.
madness.
Looks good. Low maintenance, man.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. I got 4 kids, just
Who has the time? Who has the time?
no time.
Or you just let Dr. Squatch take care of your hair, just let it grow out like this,
See, that's too sexy, man. That's too sexy. I got a wife, man. I don't want all these chicks banging on my door. I don't know how you do it. Fighting them off.
Oh, I got Mimi for that. Mimi fights someone. Get away from him. Get away from him. I will stab. I will kill you.
Is everybody here married or in a relationship? I guess is that what we need to ask?
I think, yeah, we're all are pretty much.
I am. Red has dogs.
Okay, well that's you're single parent. You're single parent.
First family.
Single parent. That's cool. Yeah.
Red's is a paw or a parent. How does that go for for the dog owners? Dog father.
Dog father is what you said.
Dog father.
Father.
Oh man. Okay, this is bad. I'll stop.
Already on the bad foot here. Wait up the real podcast.
Womp womp. Oh man, so pandemic, man. JonBoy, like, what have you done? Like, things, man. Things are starting to open up. Like, what have you been doing lately? Like,
working on my creator own, and then getting tempted to go back to the dark side. Been doing some comic stuff, doing some interior projects, and then doing a ton of covers. I think since COVID, I've done. I think I counted like 75, 85 covers in 2 years during that time. Yeah, it was a lot. So
wait, what books are you doing interiors on right now, or is it out yet?
I did a Red Sonja, Black, White, and Red issue 2, 10-page story that I wrote and drew in color. That came out, I think, last year. And then I just did a Wildstorm thing for DC that comes out. It's that Wildstorm anniversary special.
Yes.
Good time, hey. What's up, Nelson? I did a Wildstorm anniversary special that comes out, I think, the 30th of November for DC, and it's a 8-page Zealot story with Angel Breaker and Zealot.
Oh, nice.
Zealot,
It's cool. It's cool. Like the writing, it's by
Joshua Williamson,
Josh Williams, and myself, and then I don't know. I think Romulo Flagrao, or a very talented Filipino guy, colored it. The colors could have been better in my mind, but I mean, I'm very critical when it comes to stuff like that, because it's like I'm an all-in type of guy. So
yeah,
I'm like, I would have done it like this. Why'd you do it like that? So, yeah, I've been doing that and then working on my creator own, and I'm actually trying to stop doing more regular work so I can just finish my creator own projects. So
what was the name of that project again?
It's Princess Dragon Killer.
That's right.
Still working on it. Yeah, it's like this is what happens. You start on it and then they tempt you with these things like, hey, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do one. They're like, well, would you just like to do the whole run of this? And you're like, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, and I just told one of my publishers, like, I'm just done. I can't do it anymore. Like, well, we got this Planet of the Apes stuff. I was like, no, I can't.
We have another 1 in 1,000. Would you want to be a part of that?
Yeah, it seems like I've done a lot of those. It's really weird. I like do the 1 in 25s or 1 in 50 or 1 in 1,000, and like it's super super honoring to do. I think it's just these things are, you know, like they go through a whole process of vetting when you do stuff, you know, and
Totally.
it takes away from your own projects. So all that energy you have, you kind of sink into those projects. When it comes to your stuff, sometimes it's kind of like, oh, I find it really hard for me to find that balance, you know. And one of my buddies was talking to me about it, and he said, dude, you go stop renting your career to these other entities, because this is a short-term thing. You need to do stuff that's long-term. And he's totally right. I need to try to find a way to kind of carve back into it and build things that kind of build my own brand and value, because I'm lending my value to these things, and you know, it's you're not really seeing a big return on that stuff. You know, you're really not, because you're doing just this one cover, and if you have to buy 1,000 copies to get this one cover. Well, they only play being a flat rate. All this money that they're raking in for that, it's like it goes to them. Which I mean, that's how the system's set up. But I think it's you like a small business person, Luke. You kind of know you kind of have to take some risks sometimes, and you learn from those risks. But at some point, you're like, I need to start doing things that kind of expand out, like separate you from what everyone else is doing, because what makes you unique, So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your art's already unique as it is, JonBoy. You have just amazing art, like on your own. Like you have this anime style that we talked about last time that no one can mimic. You had the Robin, the Robin cover. You had some DC covers that came out this year, and they were absolutely gorgeous.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
It's like you're doing good. But if you're saying that we need to do better, we're going to do everything that we can. Because we're all involved in your.
That's right. Well, it's honestly, hey, man, like I'm glad you guys put that out there, because when my stuff comes out, I'm like, hey, what's going on, guys? I've got this project now, I'm ready to share. Like, let's hear some copies of it. Tell me, give me some feedback. If you hate it when we're on the show, just pretend like you really love it,
Oh, that's fantastic! It looks beautiful. It looks great. And then you hear all the clicking.
You
hear all the clicking in the background, like
you're like, oh, this is fun. You're like, you mute the mic like this is a hundred shit, or whatever. No, I mean, I think that the thing about it is, I'm really fortunate to be able to do covers. I'm glad that people like my work. I think it's just, you want to kind of put your own ideas out there too, because I mean, it's if you're doing a lot for the company, you got to do something for yourself too, because those things directly enrich the company. And once you're done, you're kind of like, hey, you're done. The only way you're going to make money now is if you sign it for autographs or do something. So, you always got to think about like long term, like what are some of the moves I need to make to kind of like take it to the next level or do the next thing. It's always this kind of reinvention all the time about comics. Because I mean, there's so many great cover artists out there now too, and I want to get back to interiors, because I feel like I'm a comic book artist. I just don't do covers, and people are like, well, we just want you to do the cover. And I'm just like, yeah, I can do interiors too. So.
Well, we know people at Aftershock. I'm pretty sure, we can have our people talk to your people, JonBoy. Maybe get you some interiors over there about that,
Well, I think the thing about it for you guys is you have a show. You guys could always collectively pull your money and do your own, C-list villains variant, and sell it through the show and be able to monetize on that.
That sounds like an idea. Maybe JonBoy would want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I'm always in on working with friends. Like I'm kind of past the point of working with retailers, but I think working with you guys would be a little different. But I'm always really gung ho about trying to partner with people. Like, hey, like let's help push your brand to this level now and start doing something different. So then the idea is maybe for you guys later on, I don't know, like whoever your guest is in an artist thing, you guys are having that guy on there because you're announcing your next variant that you guys are doing. And you can always just honestly do Dynamite books and do Red Sonja variants. And those are like around, I think, $5 or $6 grand or something like that you guys could do books on. And you think about it, you're getting about, is it 3,000 copies, Luke? Something like that? Like
3,000 copies.
3,000 copies to make your money back. Like you got to sell, 300 books at $20 a pop. I think you guys could do that. I think you guys could do that.
I love how JonBoy just has this faith in us. You know what? I'm starting to believe. I'm starting to believe.
If you only knew our our past business ventures. And
well, I think the thing about it is when you guys do it, you have to be all in on it and you have to do your research. But I mean, like, Nelson watching, Nelson has a very successful comic book store and online presence, and he does lots of variants. I think that's, he's a good resource. So you probably, even if you guys did a book with an artist that he liked and he knew he could make money off of, you probably buy some copies for you guys. Then you guys will probably have to discount that probably either 60 to 40% so they can buy copies and do their markup, but that's still getting you to hitting your nut as far as like saying like, okay, well, 6,000 after that, then 6,000, we can split that, 4 ways between 4 guys. Let's say you make $10,000, 6,000 was your overhead. You each get $1,000. I mean, that's not a bad hustle for like a couple of weeks worth, man. That's like,
I like how I love how he just makes it like, hey, you guys got this, but you do this, you do the bada bing, you got this, no problem. You sell 10,000 copies, it's okay, no problem. I like it.
Man. Well, the number, like, you guys got to remember, you guys got a built-in audience. People tune in all the time to listen, and then you guys upload it to your channels, and then there's still people, and then you have a link after the show, or you do autograph copies for people, like whoever's live on the show, then they get an autograph. Their books get autographed for free or something. You always work something out. Like, I think it's just, you always got to think about like adding that little, because like this is not, like it's nice to be able to monetize on your show and make a little extra money because, hey man, equipment ain't cheap, microphones ain't cheap, things break down.
Yeah,
you want to build out the equipment that you have. You want a new soundboard, baby needs some new shoes, like, you want to like add a monetary element on top of what you guys are doing. Like, I mean, this is stuff we talked about last time too. I'm like, hey man, you should like make a little scratch for yourself.
I'm pretty sure we can do this again, you guys. I think we've learned. I think we learned.
Look,
certain
if you guys are gonna do this, talk to me first, and I'll tell you like, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to roll out. This is how you need to make it successful. It doesn't even have to be with me as an artist. It could be with anybody, but you want to find somebody who is a good established artist or even a mid-tier artist who has some sort of following. You want to
and what you said, you told us you've worked on 75 to 80 covers in the past 2 years, right? That is what is that, an Olympic record maybe?
No, that's not, because like I think the record's got by a guy named Marko Djordjevic, and he did, I think in 6 months he did 65 covers in 6 months. It was something uncommon.
Wow.
But
That's
I mean, Marco's a beast. He's with a studio called Six More Vodka. So the guys.
Now, do you think that during the pandemic and when people weren't traveling, we had all of this money in our accounts to spend on buying fun things, and we saw like the incredible highs? Where do you see the industry going from here? What are your thoughts? Are we going to have a 90s crash, or do you see us just leveling out, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be a two thing. I think there's going to be a bigger push for digital product because the economy is going to necessitate that. I think we, for those of you who aren't in the know, like we're quickly running out of diesel fuel. I think we have a 20-day supply left. So come Black Christmas, the supply chain is going to slow down. Deliveries aren't going to go out until trucks are completely full. That means fewer product to stores and not enough to meet demand. Prices are going to go up. We have after this election, Biden just opened up another, I think, like 9 million barrels of oil that keeps things down and gas price low up until the end of December. So, with that rate coming up in gas and cost of living and inflation, products are going to be costing a lot more. So I think you're going to see a bump in what people spend their money on. I mean, there'll probably always be a bump in sales now because COVID has necessitated the art of sales and back issues and slab books to go up. And once things hit that threshold, they don't ever go back down.
Yeah,
because you've established a buy market by that time. Like, so.
Do you see floppies hitting like $5-6 on the regular?
Depends. I mean, you see Marvel try and keep costs low by going to the shittiest common denominator as far as paper quality.
Yeah.
So, but
and that's what they did in the 90s too.
They have to. Well,
yeah,
but no one prints on newsprint anymore. So, but they're trying to do that to keep costs low and keep their margins high. I mean, like any business, but there's going to come to a point where there's probably going to be rate increases. Probably, I think by the midterm elections here that we're going to see, and then by the summer we'll probably see it increase because we're going to see an increase in gas prices, and they're not going to be able to hold that for so long because most publishers, if they foresee a problem, they did this in the 80s with the gas prices. They actually bought lots of paper stock, so they had it, they could keep their prices low to sell more volume, or jack it up a little bit and still make money. And they're making money because they bought the paper cheaper. But if they're not buying their paper when that runs out, then they're going to have to. They're not going to pay more money and have a like what they bring back is not going to be enough. So I'm sure rates are probably going to go up, maybe a quarter, maybe by the summer if things continue the way they are. So there's a lot of changes in the world going on right now, man, that affect supply chain. So
we're not out of the woods yet. I mean, like
it's like you come out of COVID to walk into like diesel shortages and food processing plants. Like what is it? Like 16 of them just exploding and bursting into flames and getting hit by planes and all kinds of weird stuff going on. So. Yeah, it's
the price of food is just going up like crazy.
Yeah, it will be going up. So there's fewer processing plants to make the food. So it means, or to get the food out. So it means the higher costs. So yeah, it's a strange little, well, not a little storm, but it's this big weird storm that does affect price of comics and how people spend and things like that. So not to be like doom and gloom here, but I'm just like, you always want to forecast like, well, how do we make money in this market? How do we engage our audience? How do we do stuff to keep our heads floating and keep things interesting? I think if apps like Whatnot can do really well, I think you guys can follow that model, but use your own model. I mean, you guys got something that's better than the app. You have an audience that tunes in all the time.
Villain's app.
Yeah, but it's
evil app.
You can monetize on that, and the thing about it is, hopefully Whatnot will get to the point where you can start preload a show into a stream that you already recorded and people can just buy when it goes live.
That'd be smart. Yeah. Just go to this link right here. You can purchase this. It's live on the store. I mean, that is a little bit easier right there.
That is something live.
You can make I think you can make it. Personally, I like doing things live. I like doing the live shows with the guys and whatnot. But when I do my shows on my channel, a lot of them, almost all of them are recorded. I feel like having them recorded and editing them and having some fun with it, I feel like you can present a little bit of a better show. This is like with me when I do my solo stuff. And then if going solo, like what you're saying, and doing the Whatnot app and doing a little bit of editing, having some fun, and then having a link, that sounds like it would be a little bit better. You can do a lot more, I think.
I think production value wise, because like for me, you kind of have to put on a show a little bit. People are there to be entertained to a certain point. And if it's a guy and his, sack of comics behind him, and he's just pulling them there.
Totally.
You're kind of like, you got like 40 guys or 100 guys already doing that. Like, what are you doing differently? You want to, like, I think like Rob Liefeld has probably got it figured out the best because he incorporates a lot of his Robservation stuff into his Whatnot shows. They're expanded topics that he's a little bit more candid about. Like, the language is a little bit more colorful. You'll get a little bit more juicier tidbits on there, but there's a entertainment element.
There is an entertainment for sure.
Kind of tacked onto it, but that's what you want to do. So if you do pre-recorded shows, you can always do that, but then you can still monetize on top of that and say, okay, we're going live now, let's do this. And while that's pre-recorded, you could still interact with people live, typing and saying, da 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 da. Yes, great, cool. Yes, we've got these many left. Hey guys, da da da. Let's move these out. You want to be able to multitask on things, but I mean, it's a lot of hustle, and it's like, you gotta put a little swag in that swagger, man. Pimping ain't easy, man. It looks easy, but it ain't. You gotta really
multitask, and
you're
right. You're absolutely right on that.
Yeah.
So I wanna talk about this real fast. Let me bring this up real fast because you brought up. I'm sorry, AJ. I love this. No, not that. Well, I love you too, AJ. Hold on. You brought up the Wildstorm stuff earlier.
Yeah.
This is the 1 in 50 cover for Wildcats, and I love the fact that Wildcats and all the 90s stuff is starting to come back right here.
Yep.
This right here totally captured my eye because I thought like you captured the essence of both Grifter and Zealot right here. And you said that there are a couple of your favorites. Right? Tell me about this one right here. Tell me what was going through your mind when you because I want to know about this one right here.
So I wanted Maul in there, but I think Maul was. I was told no. So they're like, well, you do Grifter and Zealot. And I'm like, yeah, those are two of my favorite cats. I mean, like Voodoo's great too. I liked all the characters, to be honest with you. I thought they're really good. The characters were all archetypes anyways. So it was kind of like you got this Batman Punisher type guy. You got this Wonder Woman kind of ninja Psylocke assassin chick, So I try to do it to where you're kind of capturing them like after the battle. You always want to do like the thing about action is you either want to tell the story like they're caught in action or after action are the most interesting. And this is kind of like aftermath where they apparently just kicked butt and they're all just kind of taking a little breather. And some of the costumes there's a lot more leeway with Grifter than there was with Zealot. I think her costume for I think they were. They were saying, well, this is her costume, so we kind of want to see her in that. So I was like, oh, okay, how do I make that work? So,
honestly, I appreciate that she's a lot more covered up than she was in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
I kind of like it. There's just too much of that. I liked how she looks like she's really ready for battle and not like an Instagram photo shoot. Like
that's true. That is true. Because
I do miss the sling bikini though.
I do kind of miss the bikini shot, but later on she was wearing more the red jumper. I kind of like that. It's more of a practical outfit for me because this feels like it's more Asian kind of samurai Ronin-esque inspired, and it's kind of like like they're from Chera, so maybe I would have done more space samurai looking armor because something that's like not so earth grounded, something a little different, but. I didn't do the design on it, so not to knock whoever did. I think they did a wonderful job. I'm just saying, like for me, I would probably do something that's a little more alien looking. But I think my thing was like talking with my editor, the great Ben Abernathy, and I was like, "Hey, man, like, so there's this no guns policy on the cover of
really?
covers, at DC. They don't want to be.
Oh, really?
Guns. So yeah, so I was like, well. It's like, dude, you can't have Grifter on the cover and have him like, well, what do you want me to make him hold? Because he can hold a knife. I'm like, look, Grifter does not hold knives. And then all the covers they send me already, he was holding the knife. I was like, that is the dumbest shit ever. So I was like, dude, I'm not doing that. So I was like, look, man. I was like, look, in the cartoon, he had these little like kind of like handheld blasters that look like phasers. Can I do that? They're like, yeah, because they're not guns. It's make believe. I'm like, yeah, exactly. So
they're phasers.
I was like, look, something that reads gun but not gun is something that is more in line with the character. It feels true to the character because if you put like a knife in his hand, you'd just be like,
it would look weird. Like that's not him. That does guns ablazing, like you said.
Plus, I feel like most covers, like no artist is actually like they're always making their own type of gun. I've never seen them where it's like an actual like gun. It's always like how Rob Liefeld, the Cable's holding a gun, but it's a gun that we've never seen ever.
Of course,
that Liefeld designed.
Yeah, I think you're kind of better off getting away with that because then it's like, well, is it a gun? I was like, no, it's a squirt gun. It's
a harpoon. It's a giant harpoon.
I think.
Wait, say that again, Red.
The gun from Beverly Hills Cop 3 with the one with the little microwave and plays the stereo on there.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
They're actually doing part 4 to that too, I heard. So.
What? No, are they really? There's going to be a part 4?
The whole cast is coming back. Judge Reinhold, like Taggart and
Eddie Murphy.
Guys.
Look. Over the
is the other guy still alive?
Pierce, the guy, the bulky guy is coming back. The arms dealer.
Pierce Brosnan?
No, Pierce.
Pierce Bronson Pinchot.
Bronson Pinchot. There you go.
Oh, wait, what was cousin Belky? No,
Yeah,
He was
it's cousin Bucky. Yeah.
cousin Belky, right?
Yes, and cousin Larry is on She-Hulk. Did you not know that?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah,
Oh my
that,
God,
I
it's
like
cousin
that.
Larry, right?
The
Red
dad,
was
yeah.
the one that was like most excited about that. Like he totally
I
said that. He's like, "Oh my god, look who's it's cousin Larry."
Oh my God. So, but yeah, so that's how like I'm like, well, I'll just put fake guns like if the narrative like there's like Punisher is more of a real world character, and you always want to kind of ground him more in real world tech because that's that narrative for that character. But I think with Grifter, they already established that he's had these weird laser guns in past issues, and he's had like weird looking blasters like this in the cartoon. So like for me, it kind of felt right. To me, when you kind of take someone who uses guns really as part of their narrative and you give them knives, it just kind of falls apart for me. It's just fail all over it. I'm just like, I can't do that, man.
This is the kind of clout we need, you guys. We need people like Scott Williams and David Nakayama just hitting us up. See, like this is what JonBoy can do. He can post something and you have greats like David Nakayama just coming. I
know they're my friends though too, so they're like, yeah, good job. I'm like, yeah. You know, those guys are awesome too, man. But those are guys you should have on the show, man. This is what I mean. Like, cast your net wide, dude. Like, yeah, man. Like, go for the big fish. Ask Todd McFarlane to be on your show, man.
Why
like,
not? Look, closed mouth don't get fed. That's how I live right there. You know, that's we ask people to come on the show. We asked you. See, look, we
I'm like, yeah, we want you to come on the show. Like, yeah, dude, let's do it when you want to do it. Like, we can do it here. Okay, let's do this. Like,
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, JonBoy, I wanted to ask you because I saw that on Instagram you posted a cover for the Miles Morales issue 3 for Spider-Man.
Yeah. I think it's issue 2 now. So I was like, sorry.
Really?
Wait, what?
Are you going to do one for issue 1?
No, that originally was supposed to be for issue 1, but I was too busy with DC stuff, so I said I couldn't do it. I said I could do one for another issue. And I think that cover,
This one?
I don't. Yeah, it's kind of a love-hate thing with that cover because it's kind of all over the place for me, like color-wise. But I wanted the idea of the city being on fire, but originally it was Miles getting held by I don't know what's
The new character?
Yeah, I can't remember the character. Her original name was Rima, but I think it's something else now. So it was originally Miles being held, and then Vulture's daughter flying in the background to help, and it was much splashier. So, because you can't have Miles, you can't have these two characters being bigger than Miles needs to be kind of big on his own cover, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of is just they pick the rough and they want the thing switched out. I'm like, oh man, I was like, it doesn't work like that. And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, look, because like Miles is supposed to be the one being defeated and being held. And they're like, well, we already have that now in the other cover that DK's doing. I was like, oh, it's like, all right, well, shit. I was like, all right, well, I got to make this work. So yeah, here we go. So
as soon as I saw this character right here, it immediately gave me Gotcha Man feel. That was just like, oh, that kind of looks old school. I kind of like that.
That is the Vulture's niece, actually. I think her name is Albatross or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, she's been around for like I think at least a couple of years now. She came out a couple of years back.
Yeah, she was a love interest, I guess, for Miles. And I always thought, I thought Viv Vision was more like interested in Miles from the original teen
Champions run or whatever.
Was, but maybe I'm wrong. So
I mean, I'm looking forward to this run because from what I hear, like this is the series that's going to establish his own rogues gallery. So
yeah, she's kind of like a Hobgoblin type character because when I was looking at the color palette, it was like kind of like oranges and kind of blues and some yellow, browns, and slight greens kind of. So I was like, okay, it feels like Hobgoblin. So because she has her own little goblin glider, like little drones that she kind of rides around in. So I was like, okay, there you go, cool.
See, I like this combination though. I like whenever you draw, I just love Ryan's coloring on top of it.
He knocks it out. Yeah, he's a beast. So
like both of you are amazing. And then I went back at some of your old stuff, JonBoy, and then I saw some of the old Riot games and some of the.
This was like old development stuff, and we were trying to figure out what the factions were like. Like Noxus is very like Noxus is like, if you guys play League, is like where Darius is from, and it's very war-driven society. So everything for me, I was thinking like, okay, that idealistic thing is going to be very kind of Spartan-like. They're going to be very like in your face. So everything's going to be sharp. Everything's going to be made for close combat quarters. They like to get in there face to face and take people on. So
this is for people who know JonBoy's art, but they're not used to
Right.
Ryan not coloring, and this is all
Right.
League of Legends stuff.
No,
Did you know?
that was actually Motorstorm Apocalypse, which was so okay. I got to tell you this story. So this was done for Sony. It's a racing game that takes place in an earthquake.
Oh,
by Sony, who's a Japanese company.
Mm-hmm.
So this one here? Uh-huh.
Yeah, this one, right? Motorstorm, great game. We did all the cut scenes. It's a big story. Very cool, right? So everyone was excited about the game. They're going to ship the game with a TV and the PlayStation. You can get all the game. You can do all this stuff. So great. Everyone's excited. Like a week before it went out, guess what happened? Tsunami hit. Earthquake.
Oh, the one back
in Japan?
2 years back?
Yeah. So Sony's like, we cannot put out a game.
Oh,
I think they had an earthquake. I don't know if it was a tsunami or not, but they told us that they couldn't put out a game from a parent company in Japan about a racing game that takes place in an earthquake in LA that destroys all of LA.
Right.
It would have been in bad timing.
Yeah, they just kind of buried the game, man.
So the game never came out at all, or like?
Oh yeah, it came out. They just never promoted it. Everything.
Bad synergy.
What was the name of the game? Now I'm interested.
Motorstorm Apocalypse. Yeah, you can Google it, and look at the videos. There's a lot of cutscenes that are probably online and stuff like that. It were kind of cool. So, yeah, that was it. And I think these were colored by Tony Washington, who was the colorist and yeah, there you go, for the series. So that was it right there.
A little racing
nice.
game just in the middle of. So it's kind of like Need for Speed meets Walking Dead. I don't know. No, that's
kind of Need for Speed in an earthquake. It's actually really cool. Like the scenes will change. That's what I liked about the game is actually when you're doing stuff, things are always changing. So the course, if you memorize a course, it might change because earthquakes would actually change.
Oh, that makes it better. That constantly change right there. It's good for those people who are like you said, I'm good at this track. I know how to do this track. Like these guys who play Gran Turismo, they know the track, they know what turn to hit. But in a game where the environment constantly changes, it changes your gameplay every single time. So it's not the same.
So things are slightly different every time. The timing might be a little different on each one. So there's a little more
pretty dope.
Difficulty level that they kind of threw a curve at, which is kind of nice.
Dude, the PlayStation 3D display TV. I never even have heard of that.
Yes.
That is so cool.
That's when 3D was big, but then the whole thing got buried. But this was like was like a long time ago. I think this is one of the first earthquakes that hit. I don't know if this was the tsunami. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
So wait, this came with a 3D TV? Wait.
Yeah.
Came with the TV, glasses, and the cable, everything.
It was an awesome game, man. We were all stoked, and then it crashed, and we were like, oh, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we all thought we were going to get bonuses. We're like,
dang.
We came in way under budget. We knocked it out. We did it. And then we're like, yeah, we're going to get bonuses. And the game ships. It's going to be bananas. Like, yeah.
So, have you done any games since? Like, have you designed or helped design any other games?
Well, then after that, I ended up at Riot Games. A couple of years later, I did League of Legends, and I think recently I did some small stuff for a company that's launching an NFT universe, and they're doing a comic and a bunch of other stuff with it. So I did.
So you got an NFT comic coming out?
I did a cover for it, and there's still some talks for me to do more, so we're kind of working out the numbers on that. So
do you think that NFTs are a thing to start really working on?
It's kind of like the Wild West right now.
Totally.
There's a lot of things kind of popping up, and I think they need to figure out. Someone needs to come up with the killer app and the killer thing to keep people there because like I think Tom McFarlane and Steve Aoki did something where they were just pushing out art.
Odd Key.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, but
Aoki
I don't really hear a lot about it. I think you need something that's gonna like transcend the NFT market into the mainstream, and that's when it's going to gain traction. So there's a lot of
It's
things.
not easy to buy. It's you have to go through these processes, and it's not easy.
If you link it to PayPal, because PayPal actually does currency conversions for Bitcoin and digital currencies, you link it and you partner with them to do that, you make the process a lot easier. The thing about it is, again, it comes back to presentation, ease. You know, it's all these things that kind of factor into like keeping an audience. Because if things are too hard, you're like, man, screw this. You know, because this is what Meta's, I think, coming into right now is we're trying to build the metaverse. It's a video game, but it's a shitty looking video game. So
it's worse than Wii.
Well, the thing about it is they should have just started out small, where you can make moving avatars, 3D avatars of yourself on the main pages, and then you move too fast too soon. It's too much. You turn that fire up low. You do these 3D avatars that people can incorporate in other things where they can move across your page and scroll down and do funny things while you're scrolling through your page. Like that's cool. That's something different. You're getting people acclimated to their 3D avatars doing cool shit. And then you do something where you can skin your avatar. Like on holidays, they'll let you pick a skin that you can keep, a leprechaun suit, or I don't know if that's racist now or not. Fuck it, whatever, right?
No, it's not. I don't think so.
Wait, is it really?
No, it's white. You can say anything about white people. We don't care.
Okay. Well, Halloween, you could do those things where you create a culture around that, and then look, by this time, your avatar within a year, your avatar has all these different suits and customizations. Now you say, well, we have this little world that we can bring our avatar into. Now you introduce the world where they can start doing stuff and bring their avatar and interact as that avatar in there, and do small stuff. You can do shopping, and when you're there, they give you things like called Meta coins or Facebook coins, and you can use these coins to buy other skins and do this stuff and do that. Like they just did it all wrong, man. Like
you're absolutely right. Oh, go ahead, AJ.
The weird thing is, I know like with DC, and it's weird because I'm pretty sure Marvel's going to do the same thing. I think just a couple weeks back, DC did a NFT release of like I think Action Comics #1 or something like that.
Yeah, I think they're doing Harley and a Batman one as well. A couple other different ones. Yeah.
The thing that I don't get though is like, what's the difference between that and then like, aren't like all those apps that have been around to read digital comics, aren't those all already available to read? That's what confuses me.
So NFTs, you got to look at it like this. So this is all digital space, right? Look at it like this. So Comixology, we're talking cool Comixology pre-Amazon, like coming in here, right? Is basically the newsstand, right? And NFTs, NFT comics are like the CGC of those digital newsstands.
Okay, all right.
So you can own numbered special edition copies that are, I don't know, like whatever it is, like super duper
limited,
whatever.
But it's got to be a different cover or something to make it different than the Comixology library, right?
Ideally, like I don't know enough about the NFT space or who's doing it over at DC. Like I would have, like, the thing about it is like every company thinks they need a guru to do it, and you really don't. You need to get young guys who actually understand the space to tell you what kind of cool shit you need to do. Because I think some of the rollouts are doing, in my opinion, are not very well thought out. They're kind of half-assed, and they reek and smell of like corporate capitalism. Just kind of we're trying to cash in on it, and you can't. You want to do comics are grassroots, normal people, so you want to have normal people kind of helping you dictate what that thing needs to look like and needs to be. Like if it were me, I would have done an NFT comic where it was. You have a standard comic that's on Comixology, but the NFT versions are more motion graphics activated. It's more of a digital comic, a digital experience, digital motion comics where The cover is more like a moving splash screen where it's like what we did in League of Legends. We had splash like load screens. We used to have the load screens. They got rid of it, which is sad. Where it's like Jinx dancing or moving, like kind of breathing, and there's effects and there's things going on. You feel like it's more of an immersive experience for the cover. And then you go inside. You can read it like a comic, but the comic has like moving atmospherics. There's lights flickering on and off. There's certain things that make that comic experience more immersive. That's where you add that shine, or it could be a bunch of different things. Like this is just me like 2 seconds spitballing like in my head what it could be. I mean, there's better ways to just slap in a NFT thing on it. You can add more value to it because as this thing gets resold, these are features that you don't get with every other comic. It's something better. It's something different. It's
like something you can personalize for your image on top of the hero, maybe something like that, or
something. Well, there's the thing about it is you could actually do that where you could have people upload their avatar image and that picture avatar is actually put somewhere within the comics. They're actually a character in the comic interacting with Batman would be kind of cool too. There's a lot of things you can do with technology. I mean, we've got programs now that scour the internet and swipe from every artist out there to create AI generated art. And it's not really computer generated because it's stealing from everybody. So it's kind of like, and there's artists who are embracing it, which I think is kind of shitty.
They're what now?
There's artists out there who are totally embracing it and doing it for comics.
Gotcha.
Which I think is kind of shitty. Personally, I think it's like, well, just try your own thing. But I think AI can be a tool, but I think if you're pulling from artists to create art, you're kind of, I don't know, you're kind of licensing what makes them an artist. Because like artists, we all imitate when we first started out. Like Joe Mad was one of my big influences. He's someone who's still influential on me and the things that I do. But you kind of, when you start that, you're kind of a clone. But as you progress, you kind of evolve past that. There are still those benchmarks that can say, oh, he was a big fan of this guy. This is who he's inspired by. But you've kind of evolved past that. Where, AI art is still like, I don't know. I think it's an interesting tool, but I mean, you have these fuckers building this stuff, and it's just ripping off artists. And the thing about it is, you're having people saying, now I'm an artist now because I do AI art, and it's like the idea. It's like giving a loaded gun to a kid who does not know how to use a gun. You wield it with impunity. You didn't earn the skill level and the years of practice to become an artist to do this stuff. You just kind of like, hey, look what I got, and what's dangerous is it really minimizes the value put on art and artists who actually do art, because people can say, well, I just go into your computer and type this up and oh, here it is, I've got a cover. Nothing was earned during that. It was just some jackass typing in a couple prompts and they're getting something back.
Code. Yeah.
You're basically assigning a low value ratio to work that artists create. You kind of devalue what we do in a certain sense. So if we did that for programmers or these CEOs, where it's like, hey, it's a digital CEO, you run your company, do whatever. Like, you don't need the CEOs anymore. Just use the app. People will probably be up in arms if we had something like that.
That's called Skynet. That's when the world gets taken over by the AI. It's a wrap once we have robotic AI.
They're going after artists next. It's going to be writers, and pretty soon you're going to have these big corporate conglomerate entities like X amount movie studio or book studio or comic studio or whatever. That's all their comics are AI generated and AI written. That's it. They kind of put in a couple prompts. They kind of plot out what they want, and then the AI writes the dialogue, and there you go.
I picked one up. I'm not gonna lie. A couple of weeks ago, I picked up an AI comic. It was based off of who's the guy? Famous old school C.S. Lewis. I think is what his name was. It was a comic based off of some C.S. Lewis stuff, and all of the art on the interior was all digital art, and it's 9 panels of digital or AI art per page. And it's taking the words of C.S. Lewis and then just incorporating images based off of that. Now, it's eerie. It's eerie and it's soulless is what it looked like to me. Now, I was fascinated by it. I wanted to see how an AI thought about what images would come out of it. And yeah, you're right. It is a person punching in code, and it's freaky. It's freaky to see what these, and you know, it's freaky to see what computers think art is, and to imagine that later on down the line, something like this could start taking orders at McDonald's and eventually become Skynet. Like, no joke, it really could.
They need artists' work, existing work, to create prompts for the art, for the AI to recognize what a figure is,
Mm-hmm.
what a brushstroke is. So you're taking the essence of what an artist does. So traditionally, artists worked under masters, or found masters, or imitated their masters for many years until they learned how to do it on their own.
Mm.
And they evolved past that point. I think when you're prompting AI, I guess digitally it could be considered the same thing, but it's I don't know. You know, it comes into this big gray zone. You know, I think the thing that bothers me about it is they cheapen it to where you can just type something in and instantly you're an artist. You have to understand, as the AI, this is what we're getting now. 2 years ago, it was pretty basic. Now it's sophisticated. Pretty soon, it's going to be super photorealistic if you want it.
This scares me a little bit, actually. Because oh my god,
they can take the essence.
I just looked at it.
They can take the essence of, like, if you prompt Mike Mignola.
Look at this. This is it.
Yeah, there you go.
That freaks me out. Oh my god.
The abolition. The abolition of man.
This was done about 8 months to a year ago, maybe. It's been a little while. The AI has gotten better since then. So if you put in better prompts, you're going to get better art back. Like, it's uneasy, man. Like, I think the thing is, you have programmers programming in the essence of an artist, and then the AI is figuring out what makes an artist and turning it into art. So the idea is you can have a whole, like, say you're into Arthur Adams, you can put all these prompts in for Arthur Adams' work, and the AI figures it out. Sooner or later, you can have an AI drawing exactly Arthur Adams.
So is that really what's happening then? It's not just coming from nothing. It's a baseline code of Arthur Adams' work, and
it scrubs the internet for all these images and creates the images. It creates that image based off all the other images from the prompt. So it's stealing from everybody. Like, you have to understand, like, there's no
soul to it.
Well, I wouldn't say there's no soul to it. It's just, like, ethically, there's a huge, like, issue with it, because you're kind of like, if you're using these prompts to create art from, then you technically should be paying artists for
exactly. That. I was thinking, what if well, let me ask you here. Here's a question that I have. Let's say down the line, this is something that happens. I would think that there's going to be some sort of litigation that, you know, artists can say, you know, you're taking from my work, I should be getting compensated for that.
So here's the thing. That makes perfect sense. It's not going to happen, because for your lawyer that an artist can afford, you have to understand, yes, you probably could take him to court. They would bury you in years and years and years of paperwork. Their lawyers they're better funded than you. They're just going to bury you in paperwork, and you're going to run out of money. Like, is it worth it? Like, they're just going to wait you out, man. Like, these are these tactics. Like, corporate America does these things. You have to understand why these things are being done. And you have to look at the long-term picture. These things are being done because it's the next step in replacing creatives.
Mm-hmm.
Where
what
studios can own their own thing and do these things without creative people interfering. There's more profit in it for them to do that. So that's why these things are being created.
I hear you. I hear you, JonBoy. Let me play the other side, though. I'm not an artist, so I'm not gonna go in and tell you how it should be done. But a way to look at it also is this, because immediately I start thinking about DJs, radio disc jockeys. They play the music, they play mixes, They go to the clubs, they play the records, and they're getting paid for playing the records. A lot of the times, a lot of the artists whose music that they're playing, they don't get paid for them spinning the records or whatnot. Also, DJs, like these huge EDM DJs, will take works from other people and make it into their own too. Same idea, where they're punching in code, they're punching in beats, they're using a computer to make a sound that sounds,
Well, okay, so let's pump the brakes on that. So you're telling me DJs, so I just can't be a DJ and buy the equipment and just start making fat ass beats. It takes years of practice and years of skill and an ear to hear what beats into remix. There's a skill to it. That's learned over time. So what you're telling me is AI has the same rights as a human being.
No.
You're creating art, but that's what it boils down to, because an AI can do that. There's no learning curve. It's all programmed. It's all bits and bytes. It's terabytes. It's bazillion of calculations to create these beats. And instead of one beat, they can create different sections of these beats, completely different. So the thing about it is there's no, they didn't put any hours or efforts into doing that. So something did it for them. An AI did it, versus a person who actually learned it, has music appreciation, has an eclectic taste, and say, wow, this Johnny Cash beat would fucking go great with this Kanye West song. I'm going to put this in, these guitar beats. I'm going to take this drum snap from this. I'm going to do that. You're being creative. That's the essence of creativity. And that's all gone when you have an AI that does that.
Okay.
It's more of
I hear you.
it's somebody making a prompt, because it's kind of like you didn't put those hours in to be able to do that. You're just some asshole typing in a prompt and taking the credit for it. It's not the same thing. It's not a.
Tell us how you really feel about AI.
I will say one thing though, JonBoy. The one factor that we haven't really thought about is, and maybe I'm being a little optimistic on this, but the consumer, us, if we know that, this book is all pulled from JonBoy Meyer's art, and this is all pulled from James Tinian's notes on a book, but they're not getting any credit for it. Us as consumers, comic book readers, I don't think we're gonna back that personally.
I can guarantee you people would, and people are doing digital AI comics right now. So
I was interested. I'm not gonna lie. I heard. I was like, well, let me take a look at it.
If you knew, the thing is, the comic community is gonna know that this is being pulled from, JonBoy Meyer's art, but he's not getting the credit. I think, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being optimistic that we would be like, that's not cool.
Again, though, like morally, there will be that outrage, but legally, yeah, sure, I could litigate, but they're just gonna bury me in paperwork. What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like I'm not against AI. We interact with AI all day. Like when you like something on Facebook or Instagram, and AI tracks that, and then they send you more of that. Like there's nothing wrong with AI in itself. It's the people making these things and doing these things. They can attach a profit percentage because they know what images that AI pulls from in order to create these images. If they actually monetize on that, and then actually pay creative people for like, hey, look, like you were part of the algorithm that helped generate this piece. You were credited as part of the artist on this piece, and here's a small percentage of what you're making. The thing is, you have to remember, if you're creating these prompts and licensing these companies, you could probably pay a flat fee to this company of $1 million a year to generate as many comic books, images, and stories you want. And you don't have to pay a creative team for that. And you own all the content. And there's no original, there's no nothing. That is very enticing to publishers or filmmakers or things like that, because you don't have to pay creatives. You own all the content. It's everything. You're just licensing the program to generate content for you that you can resell. There's not a lot of overhead in that, because right now you're looking at, like, it used to be about 10 years ago, it's about $10,000 to make one comic book. On average, your average comic. Nowadays, maybe with inflation, now we're talking like maybe $15,000 per comic. Now, if you license that from like Mid-Journey, and they can pull from any artist down and create a comic that looks like somebody drew it, and you pay them $1 million, They do your whole line. Come on, man. Do the math on that. You know, if you do 12 books, 12 issues a year, 24 pages, well, shit, like your license, you can make them 30 pages. If you're 32 pages, who cares, right? It's like you're not paying a creative team to do it. You've licensed it, program, you can do as many as you want. Like, you could price the book fairly low in comparison, or fairly high, and still make all the profit back and not pay a creative team or any royalties or anything on that. Like, you have to look at the longer game. It's like, if I took you guys out of the equation and replaced you guys with an AI, and it was an AI podcast, this would be really, it would be, or something that you love to do. It's the same thing. Like, if you are a truck driver and you're getting replaced by an AI robot, like, you're gonna be like, well, hold on here, like.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because Red's actually a fake. He is AI. He's this computer generated thing that I punched in my
Well, I'm not anti AI. I think the thing about it is if you're going to do these things and make these programs and you're pulling from creative people, then you need to monetize creative people to be compensated for that. I think that is the right thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
But again, you can still litigate against them. You're going to have to dig into their code to see if your image was actually used. You're going to have to get a court order for that. Yeah. Costs money. They'll bury in paperwork. If you ever by chance happen to do that, it goes to court. Injunction, this, that. They're going to just bury in paperwork.
That's crazy.
You can't even watermark or copyright with all your images online at all.
Well, technically, if you post images on Facebook, you don't own those images. Facebook does. This is part of the consent. So this is the problem with these great companies that sell you on these ideas that Instagram is like a free platform and you can post anything you want, but they own the content. Really, they really do. They can do whatever they want with it because you posted it and it's your page. They're offering you these goodies to interact freely on their page. I wish they would do more of a paid subscription where you own all your own content and you're hosting your own stuff on their site for X amount of dollars. That way you own all your own content, and that would be safer.
They actually did introduce a subscription service on Instagram, but as far as owning your own content, I don't know how that works. It's probably
the subscription service benefits Instagram and it benefits the host, whoever's doing that. But if you read the fine print, they still own that content. It's still their content because you're still using a free platform to. You have to understand, like as things kind of things go more digital in the next couple of years, you're going to see a really hard push because COVID taught us that digital works now. And people are more open to using digital now. So you can funnel people into whatever. Like, once you get them on a full digital thing, I mean, there's so many things you can do with that. Like, you could, which means you're getting more profit and not making physical product, then pretty soon you're gonna be like, well, how do we reduce our costs? And you get rid of creatives. We can do AI stuff to do these things. Like, it's at some point, it's when you look in your crystal ball, like, what does this really mean for creatives down the road? And first it's going to be artists, next is going to be writers, and then pretty soon it's going to be musicians and singers, and it's going to be like, it's going to be a virtual artist, recording artist.
They already tried to do that AI rapper who got canceled.
Well, look, it's going to happen, and they're just going to tease it out, and then later on you're going to find out, like, he's going to be in concert, and it's going to be a hologram, and it's going to be this AI thing, and people are like, oh shit, but the AI is still going to pull its music from somewhere, and I can guarantee you it's going to be from like rap artists like Tupac and Biggie and things like that to create a template for what rap music will be or for whatever. I mean, it's not going to stop. I mean, it's every part of our way of life is going to be changing in this new age that we're kind of walking into.
Well, even my live shows that I do just selling comics, they keep getting copyright stricken. And I'm like, I'm not playing music, I'm just talking. And then someone typed in the chat, he goes, but Luke, you're saying Batman, you're saying Spider-Man, you're saying
What? Really?
What?
I'm not kidding. And I'm like, that makes total sense.
Well, it's cool
sucks,
that it's good because you're doing your shows live, and at least you can get people right there and then to say, yes, I'll purchase this. You're not relying on people watching the rewind to purchase your books. You're doing it live.
Well,
Now,
I do get a lot. I do get people that do buy. A lot of people buy that way.
oh wow. Dang.
Can you just say S-Man for Spider-Man or
Well,
S-Man, B-Man for Batman?
These are the things that you kind of come into when you're on these free platforms. You know?
Ninja guy right here. Ninja.
But when you do your
Sony copyright one of my videos. I'm like, Sony, what the heck is going on? Sony. And someone's like, Spider-Man. You said Spider-Man. And so I'm saying it right now. We're gonna get copyrights.
That's
interesting.
Yeah, because we're not gonna get copywritten, any kind of copyright if we say all of these. Look, snake eyes. Are we gonna get copyright? No, we're not. I don't understand how that happens to you. That's crazy.
I think the thing about it is they do these things. It's called rule of law. So it's kind of like a vampire asking for permission to hurt you. So they get these law passed and says, well, I can technically do this now because we said it's okay to. And you guys passed the law. So here you go. You got to remember, like, it's at some point, this is why I'm always like, you always got to hustle. You got to think of something new to create monetization for you guys. Because if you're selling your own retailer covers, then you're licensing that to be able to do that. So you're allowed to say Red Son, you're allowed to say these things, you're allowed to say The Boys. You can say these things because we're licensing a product. We're a retailer doing this. You kind of have to play that game in order to try to like survive. It's always a different angle. I think, Luke, I had no idea you're going through that, but I think as we move forward into the digital age, things like this are going to be more and more of a problem. So,
hey, JonBoy, I wanted to ask you, since we're talking about like digital art and everything. I saw something. This is because I used to watch Jimmy Lee used to do like Twitch lives where he would draw, right? And for a while, I think he was drawing in like an Oculus Rift pen, and it was and he would show it on the screen, and it looked very like as he's drawing, it's kind of like you're in that universe. Is that something that like artists have like started to like dive into? Because I always thought that would be really cool if there was a full-on comic book where it was in the Oculus Rift where you're actually in the book, because like the way it made it look like you can turn around and you see everything going on around you.
Somebody from Google, I think, reached out to me about coming in to do some 3D painting for them and doing it in 3D. And it wasn't a paid thing. They said, well, we'll promote you. We'll do this. It's kind of like, well, we'll get you exposure. I think the thing that I didn't like about it was because like the way they sold it to me was, well, we're going to do this thing. We want to feature as an artist using our tool, and you're going to create art with it. I said, well, who's going to own that art? I said, well, it's going to be our thing. We're going to use that to promote the product. I said, well, I should get paid for that, don't you think? Like,
yeah,
like you're using my skill set to sell your shit.
The
like,
fucking audacity, JonBoy, that these corporations have. We'll promote you. Fuck you. No, you won't promote me.
Well, you have to understand, like,
Don't you know who I am?
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. Like, I think if anybody is wanting to use your skill set for something, there should be some other thing attached to it.
Some compensation, yeah.
There has to be compensation because
you're working. That's why you're actually working.
Like, whether you're drawing a book or you're signing a book, you should be making some money off of it, even if it's $1 or something. Like, there should be something on that. Like, well, no, this is just for us exploratory, and we want to use it to promote it and show what the program can do. And I said, well, I'd love to do this, but it's just like, my time is worth this much. If I'm doing free shit for you, I'm not working.
Yeah, I mean, at least some stock. Be like, hey, you know what? We have like, 2,000 shares of stock.
No, like here's the thing. Like you don't want to get sucked in by the goodies. Like it's not about the goodies. Like you have to remember, like when you're doing these things, you're licensing the things that you do to sell whatever, and there is a value on that. Like if you have a big fan following or something that really takes off, and it's like, okay, we're gonna do it with other artists now. Well, what about me? Like, oh, well, we already used you. Like now we're paying for it now. Well, we don't want to use you now. You already did this thing. We're moving on. Like I think you have to have a little bit more of a business mind. I think when you're thinking about these creative endeavors and things that you're doing, because again, when you kind of have to look at your crystal ball and think like, okay, well, with all this AI art and all this stuff coming out now, what does that mean for the future? And what does that mean for me? And what do I need to start doing? Because at some point, if I'm not building out the things I can do on my own as a creator and having value, because there's only one me, and if I create this unique thing that is me, you can't replicate that. You can't. I own that. But if I'm working for a company, at some point I'm going to become redundant because they're going to have an AI program that they're going to license that can draw as well as me or draw exactly like me, and they don't have to pay me, you know. And at that point, it's too late. You're kind of aged out. You're not going to be able to find other work. Your audience has moved on. The thing about it, I guess, is you always got to be swimming, and you have to kind of see what's always out there. And there's nothing wrong with working for companies, I think, but you got to try to remember you got to do things for yourself as much as you can. And look, I get it. Like, we get to these spots where you got to remember you come to these spots where you get really comfortable and things feel good and you're making money and these things, but you gotta be real to yourself and say, you know, these things aren't going to last. This is good now, but what does this mean in the future? What's coming in the future? What is right around the corner? And we're not talking 5 years from now. AI improves every 3 months. You have to understand that's how fast the technology is moving. Like, you have no idea. Like, I live in Silicon Valley. I hear these guys talk about it all the time. Like, it's like how fast things get made, how these things learn quicker and quicker and quicker. You have to remember they're doing terabytes of calculations a second. We can do that in our heads as well, in our minds, but you know, being able to draw everything that you see out of your head, it's just almost impossible. Like, you can't do it, but AI can, because that's what it's programmed to do. It's hard to compete with that. So I guess what I'm saying is, for the future, you always want to think about, like, and I don't want this to be doom and gloom. It's just, this is a reality that we all live in. So what are you going to do with that information? I think totally okay to work for companies now and do stuff if you feel like that is for you. But, you know, if you have an opportunity to do something for yourself, then you should, and try to figure that out, especially if you're already in a creative field or a creative endeavor. Because look at what you're doing now, and if you feel like you're too comfortable doing what you're doing now, then for me, that means I'm doing something wrong. It means I'm not challenging myself. I'm not pushing myself. I should be doing more. I should be evolving. I should be trying to do more and evolve and add more value, or change the game, or do something better. Because if you're not, you're going to be kind of stuck behind the curve of everyone else. So the bad thing about it is trying to play catch up. And if you're trying to play catch up, then you're never going to catch up. Yeah. You always want to try to reinvent and do something new, or do something better, or be unique. You know, it's about uniqueness. Because, like, I think a lot of people, I think there's a lot of news going on now, like with somebody like Kanye and his creative, I don't know if you want to use the term genius or whatever you can. Like, I think for me, him saying what he said was wrong, but at the same time, without paying any money to anybody, he got every brand, everything he created back, he owns, free of charge. You didn't have to pay anybody. All those contracts those companies did, canceled on their own. And you have to understand how much money, we're talking billions of dollars, that his products brought in to those companies. So now that he owns everything that he did for those companies, like Adidas and everybody else, he can do a mea culpa, say he's sorry, donate a bunch of money, and open up his own brand store and his own chains and make money all on his own.
Is that how that works? Like, he did some, he said some really stupid shit, and then everyone dropped him.
But in saying that stupid shit, I don't know if it was a business move on his part to just gain ownership of everything he created. Because
he owns the Yeezys. Is all,
I thought Adidas owns the designs, though. No.
Yeah.
Well, they own the designs of what's done, not what he has coming up. But they can't put that brand out anymore. Yeah. You can't put out Adidas Yeezy now. You can't do it. Yeah. You can't. Why? Because Kanye said these stupid things, and you don't want to be associated with that. So you've cut it off that. You can't. Once those contracts are canceled, you can't put out that product anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he did that from a business move, or he was stupid and he realized that this is also a good business move because I have ownership of stuff now. I can start doing my own thing. I don't know, but I think from a business point of view,
why you did that.
well, I don't know. It could be. For me, when I was looking at it as a business person, I'm like, oh, well, he's going to get all his companies back. Everything that they invested to build his brand and all his people, his designs, his production, his network, his pipeline, he gets back. That's all his. He owns everything free and clear. He didn't have to pay any money because he was having problems with Gap prior to him saying that. Now, guess what? He didn't have to pay any money to Gap to get out of that contract. They just gave it back to him and said, we're done with you. This contract is over. So there's when you see things, there's always hustle in the game. Maybe that's not the right way to get control of your own game. But what I am saying is you gotta have to be creative and kind of do things for yourself to kind of like look out for you, because these corporations it turned out the contract he signed ended up being bad deals. They're taking money from him. It's like, hey man, like I get it. I've been there, you know? So, and I'm not endorsing what he said was right. Absolutely not. But I was just looking at it from a business point of view. From a business point of view, he got all his companies and things back. They're fully his 100%.
That's crazy. But now it's a matter. It's a matter of whether he can still make money off of it and whether people still want to follow that brand. You know, now, like, yes, he owns it. Yes, he has this now. What can he do with it? And will people actually spend money on him now? You know?
Oh man, dude, like you gotta look at spend, dude. You gotta look at spend. If people can, I hate to say it, man, you get a good PR firm. Like if Amber Heard can make Johnny Depp look like a horrible POS, like, you know, you could pay people to make that happen. Like there's no kidding what you can do to. I mean, I had heard heard or read somewhere like she paid like a PR firm like $2 million to put out good PR on her and things like that to change public perception. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to manipulate people into whatever narrative you want. Like movie studios do it every day, you know. Yeah. You know, it's crazy. Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm not saying any of this is right or wrong. We just kind of went down this whole like really crazy.
I know, totally.
Yeah. But
and now that corporations hate Kanye, he's going to become cool again with all the kids.
Well, he can be looked at as anti-establishment, but I think he's going to have to make amends for the comments he said, because
kids don't care though. High school kids, man, they don't fucking care about any of that.
No.
They can care. In fact,
right.
As someone who worked in high school for almost a decade, I can tell you what, the amount of times, almost every kid, the amount of times that I heard the N-word from white kids, black kids, Hispanic kids, they all say it. Why do they say it? Because all they hear is don't say it, so they say it constantly, and I'm like, oh, but you know
Here's
what I mean?
Things that the kids can get away with it because they're kids, right? Yeah. But when an adult says it, it's different. But like, you know, like I don't know what Kanye is saying, because like Jesus was a Jew, so it's like, dude, you can't like. Come on, man.
Speaking about comments, our boy Flo Dameron comes.
Yes, Flo Dameron, back to topic.
He loved the Shadow War covers that you did, JonBoy. I actually picked up a couple of them myself.
Thanks, man.
The Shadow War stuff was
no. You know what I loved was the I think it was the Robin DC versus Vampires one. Is that the one?
Oh, the Blade. Robin is.
I love that cover, man.
I designed that armor, and I was like, "Are they going to use it?" And he's like, "No." I was like, "Why'd you have me design armor for?" He goes, "Because I thought it would be cool." I was like, "Man, you made me do a bunch of work I didn't have to do." It's like,
see, okay, so that's something I want to bring up. You know, and I have such a gripe over a cover that an artist did, and I thought the cover was super dope, but that item that was shown was never in the comic whatsoever.
It was dope. It's all bladed out. It had all kinds of cool stuff on it. Like when you move the arms down, like it had all kinds of cool stuff. I was like, oh.
And they never used it in the comic itself, huh?
I thought they were going to. That's why I designed it for them, so we can use on the cover. And then they didn't. But I mean, you know,
Why? Okay. Why? Why do they even allow you to do something like that when they know it's not going to be there?
Well, I mean, I think that's I don't know. Like,
That's the beauty of it.
no, it's not the beauty of it.
Oh.
Because like, if I see it on the cover, I want to see it in the book. I'm the same way. I'm the same
Yeah.
way as Eman. I'm like, I want to see. Show me the goodies that I got on the
Yeah.
cover. It's false advertising, man. It's false advertising.
Totally.
You know?
I was like, dude, this is a dope cover. I want to pick it up because I want to see this thing. Where's this? Where's that?
Yeah.
Where's
Yeah.
where are they? Where is it?
Yeah.
Is that cover still? Is the original art still available on that?
Yeah, it's still available. Yeah, I haven't sold any art, man. All that you pulled up my IG page before. I did a lot of. I think I did 20 or 30 cards for a Marvel Snap game, and all the backgrounds are digital, but all the characters that were drawn are actually traditional. So I have all the art for that. So I have all this art that I'm like, I don't want to start selling art until I'm like, I'm not doing any more published work, but work for myself. You know, that's okay.
That's genius.
Because then
all I hear from guys like Randy Emberlin and all these old school guys was, I sold my first Carnage page for $200, and now I see some asshole selling it for $3 million. I'm like, oh,
right, yeah. Sorry for the political talk, too, guys.
No, man. This is
it was actually
this is what
really
we love to hear. You know,
it was informative, is what it was. What it was.
Yeah.
Real fast, JonBoy. So, look, you're a Bay Area native. I'm a Bay Area. Are you going to be at the San Francisco Fan Expo by any chance?
Okay. So this is weird. So I'm supposed to be, and I talked to him about it because, like, I'm local. I said, you just have to pay for a hotel. Like, I'll go.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm like, all right, cool. But it's been like 3 months. They haven't announced me. So I'm like, dude, if they don't announce me, I'm not going to, why even go? Because people are not going to know I'm there. It's like, I can announce it on my social channels, but people want to see who's there. I'm not going to go to a show and people are like, oh, I didn't know you were coming. I would have brought my books. I'm like,
yeah, you have to be on that guest list, man.
I would think so, right? But,
so they haven't paid for they haven't contacted you or anything since the initial?
No, I talked to them. they just haven't announced me on their site, which is like, dude, it's like in 2 weeks or something like that, right? Like, so
I'm excited for it because this is like the first con in the Bay in a very, very long time, and there's a lot of people there. And that's something I wanted to ask you, because because you referred to the show, and I wanted to see if my friends are going to be there, and I didn't see anything just yet, so I just wanted to ask, and see.
So if you guys go, just drop me an email. If you guys end up going for the day, I might just buy a ticket and go as a normal person. I'm like, hey, I'm looking around.
So I can guarantee you right now, Red has his ticket.
Oh, cool! Right on.
Red's got his ticket for sure. I'm actually gonna get my ticket this week. I'm just waiting for I'm waiting for some things.
How much are 1 day passes? Are they pretty expensive?
No.
Friday 50 for Saturday, 40 for Sunday.
Oh, cool. All right.
Like 35. I guess if you get it before this Friday, it should be even cheaper. Let's take a look. Yeah,
3 days $100.
Yeah.
Oh, so Flo Dameron's saying that New York Comic Con announced big people like a week before. And that's just dumb, man. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, why would you? Because then,
well, they even announced John Jane, so that's
Look, we're not trying to push other artists on here. We have our friend JonBoy here.
No. What I'm saying is, like, you want to, like, you want to
sell out.
Yeah, you want to tell people who's there,
because so people know what to bring. Because people do fly out of town for these shows, or
that's true.
They're driving in from Sacramento, and they're like, "Well, I'm getting a hotel. I'm not driving back to get like 2 books I want JonBoy to sign. Sorry, buddy." It's like, like for me, you want to do a show if you're going to be a guest and they carve out time to be there. It's like, at least announce me so people know I'm going, so I can, like, I want to make money while I'm there. I just don't want to just sit there and be like, okay, well, hey,
So you're not going to be with a particular store. You're actually going to be there with your own booth.
I was supposed to be in Artist Alley, so, but I don't know. Yeah, like, there you go. People are like, someone give me one. Come on, help me out. So
I think
it's a business, and you want that advertising, and if they're not going to do it, it's like, well, dude, why even go?
Yeah, and you would think that, like, the soon as you've got someone booked, you're going to announce it, because that gets more people to buy tickets to your show.
I would think so too, right? It's like, because, like, you don't want to buy plane tickets last minute, man. Like, come on, like, I don't know, but you know what? I mean, like, for me, I approach things a lot differently than most people. So my way is probably not everyone's way, and I get that. I think for me, it's just like, I have to calculate like, well, if I'm not going to get announced, how much am I actually going to make while I'm there?
Right.
It's usually a third of what I could have made if they announced. So because I've done these shows before, I know my numbers, so it's like I know what I'm going to make. So it's
exactly.
Maybe it's just I just stay at home, but I can always go into town for just the week, or that day. If you guys are going to be there,
man,
we can go walk
this
around.
For literally any other weekend, I would be there, but
Yeah.
I'm having all my family for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, fuck your family, man.
Fuck them kids.
So you fucking have lunch with us. We hang out.
I told
Mimi.
I told my girlfriend, I was like, I don't got the kid that weekend, so Friday night, Saturday night, I'm rubbing elbows with everyone. Saturday is gonna be the day. Saturday is gonna be the day I go in and I make my little vlog video because I like going in and making little videos of shows that I visit. And then Sunday is gonna be family day, so I'm actually gonna get my kids.
You can do your 20-minute interviews too if you bring a mobile setup with your mics and a small camera with your iPhone and just do like blurbs and do like, hey, what's up? I'm here talking with John Jang. What's up, John? What are you doing?
Yeah, we go to Carol's.
Funny you bring up John Jang.
Well,
I have my little GoPro right here, little setup right here. I have.
And look, I was just kidding, man. I was just kidding. But there's stuff. I was just kidding.
I'm all set up.
Dude.
I'm very thin-skinned, JonBoy.
Send them to Red or Eman or AJ if they're going. And if I'm there, I can sign a couple things for you if you need it. So.
Those Shadow War stuff. Hey, Flo, try to overnight that stuff over to us. Maybe we can get some Shadow War stuff.
It's not the first time we heard Luke say "fuck them kids."
No, I was just playing. I was just playing. We talked about so many serious things. I was trying to light up the mood.
May it live in infamy on the internet.
It's on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, I forgot. This is going to be on the internet for a long time. You know that interview where you said that guy to fuck his family?
Like, Michael Jordan said it best.
But you see that you quote people, but it's always out of context.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because like, what was Michael Jordan? His father probably died. He said, "Well, aren't you going to go see the kids?" I'm like, man, fuck kids. My dad just died. You don't know the context.
Yeah, that's you. You don't know what happened beforehand.
Yeah, man.
Live on the C-List Villains podcast, JonBoy said, "Fuck them kids. We need more."
How do you feel about that? It's like, look, man. It's like if you're gonna.
What did you mean when you said?
Like, I think we're all joking around, and that was said in pure jest. And you just took
everything you said in jest. Yes,
yes. It's just like,
well,
we got you back.
I'm sorry.
We're hitting almost it's 9:30, and we're hitting an hour and 20. I mean, I don't. How much more time do you got, JonBoy? Because I know we didn't get to.
I think I have about 10 minutes in me, man. If we have questions that anybody wants to ask, or people have comments or whatever, like. Yeah, fire away. Like, and I do think you guys need to monetize on your show. If you guys did a book for your show, a retailer show, like a retailer book, I think you guys would do that.
We'll do that. We're going to dive into it one more time. I don't want to be afraid of that anymore. We learned from the first time, and I would like. I've been thinking about it. I've honestly been thinking about doing it for my show and trying to partner up with. I was thinking about partnering up with Luke to see if like Luke would be willing to partner up with me, and then I want to do one for the show also. I'm pretty sure AJ, I don't want to speak for him, but I think we should do it one more time and we should try it again.
I think pick the right book, pick the right artist, and then you want to preload it as much as you can to promote and get the word out. You want to contact guys like Nelson from Big Time Collectibles and see if
and we're tight with Nelson. He's told us his story. He's given us all his insight. He failed big time. His first couple, lost his shirt, and just
no
didn't
pun
give
intended,
up.
right? Big time.
Yeah, you never want you want to lose, but you don't want to lose like
big time.
Well, yeah, there you go, big time. You want to make those. The thing is about it is you don't want to make the same mistakes. You want to make new ones because it's always a process. But
I like that.
So you want to
make new ones.
I mean, Nelson's done so many now that he has down pat as far as what what he knows, what he's going to get out of an artist.
It's getting the name out. It's getting the name out. Recognition, branding. It's branding. It's all branding because like he has big time collectibles,
right?
You know, like the comic shield and everything, and he's just putting it out there. And that's not taken away from a lot of the other shops. You know,
no, everyone does their own
everyone
thing.
does their own thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everyone does their own thing, but I think there's nothing wrong with taking a process and adapting it for what you guys want to do. Because like, you know, like I think it'd be good for you guys to like have some income flow coming in. Because I think if you did one that really hit, you guys are like, man, we all each walked away with an extra $2,000 in our pockets. That felt pretty good, or even $1,000. And your wife's like, where does this money come from? You're like,
which can be put towards
money.
next,
About, you know,
yeah.
But you can invest in buying better technologies, better mics, better cameras, better things. You know, it feeds back into what you're doing. So, you know, it's something to consider. And like if you guys don't want me to do any art, that's fine. But if you guys want to pick my brand, I'm more than happy to share like what I know. And, you know, if you're dealing with artists, like what to offer an artist and what's a good amount, and, you know, comps and things like that are always important. And the best thing you can do is be honest and upfront, you know, because I've worked with so many retailers where things just fall apart. And
they try and be sneaky.
Yeah.
Try and be sneaky, or just.
I think my thing about it is when you work with retailers, you work with them a while, they kind of feel like they own you and they start telling you what to draw or how to draw it or how they want it to be. And you're just like, look, man, like if you like my work, if everything that you like from me work-wise to want to work with me, that was all done because people just let me kind of just run with it. Let's have a conversation and we'll do these things. But like people start clamping down and making a process. I'm like, dude, I can just go out and do my own covers. I don't have to get art directed. I get art directed a million times already. I
mean, you can process art, but then it just becomes like an ad for a magazine. You know, it's not a.
Well, I think, you know, it's a business, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, I think it's kind of like buying a Ferrari, you know, and then you're just kind of parking it in your garage and showing, look at my Ferrari. Look at my Ferrari.
Yeah.
And the car is designed to go fast. So just let that car do what it's meant to do. Go fast and like speed and show you how fast it can go and all the cool stuff it can do. Just let it perform for you the way it needs to perform. But it doesn't need you to give a lot of input. You can define that sound box and let that thing perform the way it needs to. You don't need to. You know, so many guys are so hands-on about everything that they want to see. I'm like, dude, like, why don't you draw it? Like, why do you need me? You want this guy riding this thing, doing that? Like, why don't you do it? Like, I have no interest in drawing that. Like, you know, it's like, I've been doing this 26 years. I kind of have a good idea professionally. 26 years, I kind of have a good idea. Like, okay, what's going to sell? What's going to move for the market? Because, you know, when you're doing a cover, you really want to look at what's already been on the market, you know, and you don't want to repeat something somebody's already done. Man.
Right. Like, that sucks you say that. That sucks you say that because, like, in my head already, I'm like, what would I want JonBoy to draw? I totally want him to draw a character just jumping out of somewhere and just like swinging an axe. And I'm like, well, that's already been done. You're right.
No, but you see, that's defining a target. But that's okay. So there's defining where to shoot that bullseye, right? Like, you're not shooting arrows in the dark. It's okay to get that direction. Like, hey, maybe her swinging an axe, doing something dynamic, but something that we haven't seen. Like, that's a good flex for an artist to say, this is a challenge to do something that we can do something that's unique. So when Red Sonja people see it, they're like, I've never seen her do this before. This is something I have to buy.
Yeah,
that's the hook. That's my job.
That's the goal.
That's the goal, because you want them to add something to the collection that they don't have or haven't seen. But if I'm executing on an exact vision that you want, most guys are like, oh, look, I want a homage cover, man. I want this Spider-Man 300 cover. I want Red Sonja doing it. And I'm like, dude, that is the stupidest shit I've ever heard. Why would Red Sonja be doing the Spider-Man pose? I think it would sell. It's like it would sell to people who collect the Spider-Man 300 pose.
But not to the Red Sonja folks.
Ask those 100 guys, like, really, like, you're going to be sitting on a lot of, like, dude, do something more unique, man. Like
Yeah,
don't
throw
do
an
the same
acetate on it.
gag, do the next gag. Like
See, if
do-
we're doing Red Sonja, I'd want her like on a horse swinging away at something. That I don't know. I just like that swinging motion.
yeah, I agree
you
with
know?
you because people don't really do that because horses are hard to draw. But
Oh,
but that's a good thing to do. You could do something like that that feels more iconic and
Yeah.
it's a little bit more effort. But the thing about it is, as an artist, you're not an employee or a partner. We're partnering on this so this book is successful because I want to get my comps and I want to get paid.
mhm.
And I want to be able to do remarks on books and sell and do all this stuff. But at the same time, I don't want you sitting on a product. I want you to be able to show that image and people are like, I want to buy that.
Okay,
You know,
speaking of remarks, then when you do a cover, do you think like I need a spot where I can put remarks?
No,
No,
I
okay.
I didn't do that. Thanks, Floyd Hammer, on that.
Look at that. Yeah, I was just seeing that. That would be pretty
No,
dope.
I think more about trying to do a composition that you haven't seen because doing an image that you haven't seen is the most important thing that I can do as somebody working on a cover. Is I have to give you something people have not seen.
Right.
And all the stuff I think I've done, people really have not seen. Like a lot of the Venom covers, you don't really see people do exactly what I did. You know what I mean?
no.
As far as that. So, because I wanted to do those type shots, I didn't construct it where I can do a remark somewhere. Usually when I end up doing remarks, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't put a place where I can do a cool remark on it.
AJ just gave you an idea, and I'm pretty sure he wants 5 cents for every time that happens.
Yeah, right. but you don't want to design something with that spec in mind of like just your end because you're a partner. You got to do a cover and an image that's going to move for the whole team as a whole. So it moves because you never want someone to be stuck with product. Like, do you want a 75% sell through? That is a successful sale because you covered your costs and then you covered your costs and you made twice over what you put into it. That's a good profit. And then you have a fourth left of it that you can sell in back issues or put in bundles or mystery boxes or whatever, or you can sell it for a premium a couple months later and mark it up. That's what you want. Mm-hmm. So you want to be able to do stuff that is like unique. So when you're thinking about things, like you always want to think about like, well, what people haven't seen. Yeah. Like for me, that's the thing that I always think of first before I take on a job. You can throw acetate on it too.
I didn't want to bring that up.
That's what Red said earlier.
I was gonna say
that's always pretty popular. But then what happens when you throw the acetate on it? Your significant other ends up with the artist. You don't want to do that, man. You don't want to do that.
It's still your girl.
No, I don't know if that happened. I'm just making a joke.
We're having fun.
Do you know Clayton Crane?
No, I've never met him, but I think he's an amazing artist. I think he's super talented, and I think whatever issues happen with that, I think those go beyond an acetate cover. I think those things were so.
I mean, okay, let's just get it out of the way. Honestly, in my opinion, there's a lot more to it than we all know.
Of course.
And that's one thing that we all need to really understand is that it happened when it happened, and there was something before that. And let's leave it at that. Let them deal with it.
It sucks to see private stuff play out in a public forum. You never want that. So my hearts go out to everybody involved. Like whether you're an asshole or a cool guy, like no one should have to go through that, especially publicly. It's really hard.
It was. That's what made it worse, right? It was because it was in the public's eye. Yeah,
I was just making a joke because we were so serious. I kind of man.
Don't stop apologizing, dude. That was good. It was good timing, is what it was.
And you know what? And I don't think again. I do want to say that it is not cool what Kanye said. I think saying negative things about any group and kind of marginalizing them is probably not a good thing to do. It's not because we've all been marginalized sometime in our life, and it was done to us. We didn't like it, so maybe not do that to somebody else.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good way to end the show, right?
And throw acetate on it.
On a high note.
End it on a positive note, right?
Yeah. Of course.
JonBoy. So before we end, where can we see you? Any shows coming up?
Well,
Any special
hopefully I'll see
announcements
you
you want to give
guys.
us?
Hopefully I can see you guys there. Just keep in touch and let me know if you guys are going to end up at the show. If I'm not announced, I'll probably just buy a ticket and just show up just like everybody else. Maybe we can meet up and do lunch or be nice. We talk. Like, it would be nice to actually shake hands and talk to you guys in person and connect. You know, it's always good. You guys are a great group of guys. It'd be really nice to actually just share a meal with you guys, get to know you guys a little better. And then go see comics and look at cool comics and toys and be like, oh man, that's too much. And then try to talk people down and get a good deal. Like, look, I got a good deal.
No, you did.
So,
You did.
you're like, nah, dude, you could have gotten that on eBay for like $20 cheaper. I'm like, yeah, I have to pay shipping though. I saved money on shipping.
You have to pay shipping.
Yeah.
No, JonBoy, I have to tell you, we made a sign at my booth where we sold. I said, I do not look up prices on eBay sold.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
So you just go.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, AJ.
Luke, do you just like you look at a book and you say, all right, that's about $200? Is that you kind of gauge it on what you remember?
Yeah, man. I know my industry. I know my business.
Luke knows, yeah. Like,
yeah, you don't want to be the highest, but you don't want to be the cheapest either. You want to be right in the middle there, where you're like, I know how much I paid for it. This is what I want for it. Let's see if I can get what I want for it.
But he's like Antiques Roadshow. He does the evaluation right in front of you. Just listen to the man talk.
yeah, he does a really good job. Like, he knows. He'll pull it out. Oh yeah, that's like a $4 book. Oh, give me $250 for it. Oh my God, what are you doing? Like, he knows. He knows on the fly. He's
that's
really
the thing
good
about it. Everyone wants to feel like they got a good deal. Because like with me, when I'm just saying like I got a good deal, like I saved on shipping, and you're like, well, yeah,
Totally.
But in your mind, that's how you justify your purchase.
Yeah,
you know, because like if you bought it out of a quarter bin and like 10 years ago, and you're like, man, I got to get rid of that Eternals #1. I have a quarter bin of them. I can just mark them up to $10 because the movie's coming out and just get rid of them. Yes. But then people CGC'd them and they were trying to sell them for like thousands of dollars, and now they're like,
they're sitting on them.
They're sitting on them now. You're like, you got too greedy. That's the like,
just sell them, baby. Move it.
I agree, but now that stuff is kryptonite because everyone hates the Eternals now. You're like, oh man, I can't. It's like I didn't want my butt with this again.
It's so kryptonite.
I always miss those things too. Like when Venom 3 was at its peak, I was like, I have like 4 of these. Let me sell 2, and I still have 1, just in case, right? You kind of hold on to 1, but I'm not the kind of guy that would buy like 10 and try to flip them, right? But I kind of wish I was sometimes also, once in a while, not like all the time, right?
You have to understand though too, is like there's got to be an income end on what you guys are doing, because Luke has a shop. Like there's a way to monetize where like, if you guys are trying to do stuff where it's just like, hey, this is Luke's corner and we're here to support Luke to do this. And I don't know how Luke feels about this, but like whatever proceeds, like maybe a small percentage goes to the podcast, so you guys could put that into an equipment account. Things break down. Mics aren't cheap, man. Like mics aren't cheap, man. You know what I mean? Like
speaking of accounts, Luke, I still owe you money for like StreamYard. Hold on, wait. All right. Yeah, here we go. Hold on, let me send you some money for StreamYard.
There you go. So I'm just saying, I just want to see you guys up that game a little bit, a little more hustle.
Challenge accepted, JonBoy.
I love it. Kuya JonBoy is spitting knowledge, man. Kuya over here is just handing out some. I love it. I love it.
We're probably older than him. What are you talking about, Kuya JonBoy?
I actually no. Okay, Wait, hold on.
We're all kind of the same age, right?
I think we're all about the same age.
Yeah.
We're all 25.
Yeah. See, this guy knows. Sponsored by Dr. Squatch. Thank you very much. No, just kidding.
Oh, Lord.
No sponsorship. But I am looking Dr. Squatch, okay? It's like,
so I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover, right?
I think we just jumped the shark, so we've gone too far. So
we grew the beard, jumped the shark.
All right, guys. What was that?
Always good to see you guys. Hopefully, I will see you guys in San Fran at Fan Expo San Francisco. It is a great show. Even if I'm not there, you guys definitely have fun. There's lots of talented guys there. You guys should do some spots there at the show, talk to artists live. I think that would be dope. and run that, that would be awesome. Thanks for having me on. When I have Princess Dragon Killer ready to roll, we'll talk again. Hopefully
man.
we talk sooner, though. You know, if you guys
let us know when that's ready, because I'm waiting for it, JonBoy.
I'm waiting for your retailer exclusive Sea Villains retailer book.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk.
Yeah,
about
let me know.
See.
I want to see it.
I
Do Red
like
Sonja or Vampirella. I mean, those chick books. Hey, there you go. Do that.
Okay.
Those are good.
Knowledge. I love it.
Those
Dude,
are good books.
Hey, go out there and vote tomorrow. We're not gonna tell you how to vote, but go vote.
Yes, go vote.
Go vote.
Yes. Yeah. Good luck. Yeah, that's crazy. So, all right.
Hey, JonBoy, you're not going to be at LA Comic Con, are you?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm not like. I'd love to go, but I always feel weird about like, hey, I'm a comic artist. I'm JonBoy Myers. I'd like to come to your show. Can I get a table? Can I do this? Like, it feels a little weird. Like usually because they have a place sometimes on their sites where they allow you to sign up for Artist Alley. So I just try to do it that way. But it gets a little weird. So like,
All right. Well, with that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys all next week. Peace out.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Sealess Villains podcast, your cultivators of the comic culture. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and email us at sealessvillains@gmail.com. You can also leave us a voicemail or text us at 209-975-7597. Be sure to join Luke Week's Facebook group, Rare Keys and First Appearance Comics. And you can follow us on our 2 Instagram accounts, Sealess Villains and Sealess Villains Podcast. Lastly, follow the villains on their separate IG accounts, at Luke Weeks, at C-List Villainous Red, at C-List Eman, and I am at AJ the Comic Collector. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next episode.